and welcome to Love Island, the Morning After podcast, the only official Love Island podcast. Now, Amy is a little bit poorly this morning, so you have myself, Indiyah Polack, our podcast princess, Joe Bags, and fresh from the villa, Ron Hall.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Morning. It's a bit of a dead intro that with Ron Hall, isn't it?
Which
is
is
a
your
terrible
name.
name. I feel like I should use Ronald for it.
Least
Ron
you don't
would be
have
so much
bags.
better. I mean, Hall's not much
Ron
better.
Bags.
Ron
Joe
Bags.
Hall.
Get married,
Oh, yeah, I was
babe.
going to say, what's
I
going
know
on
he's come
here?
out single.
Let me not
Yeah.
even get any wrong ideas out there.
Chuck him in the villa with me.
Ron, are you ready to get into all the gossip from inside the villa?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's get into it now. How does it feel to be back on UK soil?
Amazing.
Yeah, cold.
I'm buzzing. I mean, it's cold.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. It's not nice to be back in the cold, but I am glad to be out. It was my time.
Yeah.
And to be home, my own bed, and not staring at that door waiting for someone to come in, and I can have a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm good to be back.
I mean, second time around, what was it that made you sign up for All Stars?
It was similar to the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I needed life experience. I needed stories. And I think I had obviously a mixed time last time, but I came out and I found love, and I trusted the fact that that is an unbelievable place to find someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see if I could do it again. Not to compare it to last time, but because I knew it worked and because I knew it was a great time, why not do it again?
Yeah.
And again, it's another story to tell. Like, not many people get this opportunity. It's more of a privilege.
Yeah.
And I think I never looked at it last time as a privilege. So this time, like, how many people get to do it? You know, it's probably, 60 people a year. So I thought, look, you know, let's do it. I was reluctant to begin with, but I did it. Yeah, like, I don't want to have regrets about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that it was what you expected?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I went in very confident, and I went in because it was the same villa. I walked in, I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like anxious about it. I wasn't like nervous. I never really had any emotions towards it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But obviously my story this time was so different. It was actually probably the opposite.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect it to be that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm quite glad it wasn't, because I needed two different stories, because otherwise it'd be a bit boring if it was the same. So
for sure. Was there anything that you'd say you would have done differently?
no.
Or anyone you would have maybe spoken to?
No. This is partly the reason why I left.
Yeah.
I was so proud and happy with every decision I made.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed true to myself, whether it was boring, whether it didn't get me airtime, I didn't care. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do and walk out being happy with the way I conducted myself. And I feel like I did that. And I feel like the response I've got since being out has sort of shown me that. I don't have any regrets about it. I wouldn't do anything differently.
If you went in there first and no one was in couples, who would you have wanted to go for?
So my first pick was actually Indiyah going in. And then when I got there was a dumping the night before, and that Indiyah had left.
Oh.
The person who I would have gone in there for, who I thought was like really sweet, really like someone who would probably be more my type, was the person who left.
Okay.
So it was kind of a stinker from the get-go.
I mean, India's on the outside now. And as far as I'm concerned, she's still single. So are you going to be, making that move or?
I don't know whether I've got it in me. I don't know whether I've been emotionally drained the past 3 weeks of being out there. I need a few weeks off and then we'll see.
I mean, Indiyah actually came on this pod and she did a nice little talk down to camera and she told everyone what her type was and everything. So if you want to watch back a few episodes.
I was going to say, what was it?
I generally can't remember, but it could be you. It could be you.
You got to watch it back.
All right,
watch it
fine.
back.
That's a nice way of saying watch the episode. Good promo
Watch the
there.
episode.
Yeah, lovely.
Now, we know Love Island isn't just about romantic relationships. It's also about friendships and just good old connections. Would you say there was anyone in there that you would say was a good friend of yours, or maybe some unexpected friendships?
The person I'm closest with outside and in there was Luca.
Okay.
I know him really well, literally since I come out.
Yeah.
Going in there, seeing him, I knew I was going to enjoy it because I knew if I ever got low, he'd be there to pick me up as well.
Yeah.
Casey was obviously on my season and we get on really well. Naz is just amazing. Scott I got on really well with. Omar, Ronnie, all of it. I got on well with all of them. But I think Luca's my closest mate.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd have to say him.
Speaking of friends, dare I say, we had one of your friends on the pod a couple days ago. That was Scott Thomas.
Oh, good old Scott.
I mean, Scott seems to know you well enough, and he did have a few words to say. And one of those words was that he actually thought you were waiting for Lana to come in as a bombshell.
I felt like he was holding out for Lana. He always denied this, by the way, so fair play to him. But I just felt like, because they obviously had a relationship, and I think she broke up with him. He said he didn't really end very well and stuff. So I didn't know if he was coming for that unfinished business kind of like.
Oh, that's broken my heart.
I said this to him, and he denied it to the brim. But I just felt like, did he want the second chance? I don't know.
Now,
Why has he said that?
Is that true?
It isn't true. I had an inkling and I thought to myself, look, I knew she was single and I knew she'd probably be open to going back on. So in my head, and as you do, I think when you're on there, if I was probably in a couple and if I was like plain sailing in there with someone, it wouldn't surprise me if they threw her in to spice things up.
Right.
So I think everyone's mind in there, if they had an ex that was probably single, we all kind of spoke about being like, oh, would your ex do it or would they do it? So you kind of all are a bit worried that they're going to come in. How would you feel about it? Obviously, Ronnie's like Harriet came in.
How would you feel about it?
I would have been okay because we're so, like if I saw her, we'd be friendly.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Like we ended so well. For me, it'd be so comfortable in there because nothing went wrong. So it would actually be quite easy for me to go in.
Scott said it with a lot of conviction, so that's why we had to ask.
I think it was because the boys used to tease me about it and they were like, you're just waiting for Lana to come in, you're just waiting. We used to say to Scott, we used to be like, oh, what about Katie going like, oh, you just want Katie to come in? We used to just take the mick out of each other.
That would have been juicy, wouldn't it?
Exactly. She's going to come in, wind each other up about it.
Yeah.
It does play with your head.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how you ended or when you ended.
Yeah.
You don't want to see your ex.
No one
you
wants
don't
to see
want to
their
live
ex
with
on the
them.
doorstep.
Yeah.
Do you know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
No one does.
I mean, Marcel and Gabby were a prime example of that. Like,
Yeah.
it was a tough
At least they
watch.
patched it up, though.
They patched it up,
I thought
yeah.
it was quite nice to see them.
Yeah.
It was
talk out.
lovely them too.
Yeah.
It was
Marcel's
great.
such a lovely bloke as
It
well.
was
Yeah.
really nice.
Now, one thing we do on this Morning After Pod is listen to our viewers and listeners. And we got a few questions on the Morning After. I met some lovely people that I want to ask you some questions, Ron.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
First question is from Narcissus Gabri. And they said, what was your best moment in the villa?
My best moment was actually on one of the slower days, they call them. We played rounders.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not proper rounders, because
Right.
we have to improvise in there. We're not allowed out. So we'd grab a pillow from one of the sun decks.
Okay.
They've got like fake fruit on the kitchen.
Okay.
And we'd have everyone set up around the garden, all the blokes, and then we'd smash it and try and smash it over the gate, or then we'd have to run round basically like the bridge in the middle.
Right.
And it just got very, very competitive and very
The
fun.
fact that you went to Love Island and your highlight was rounders has
Sad,
killed
isn't
me
it?
off. No,
Yes.
I'm absolutely obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Fun.
Not a girl, not a chat.
We all know if we watched it, like my experience wasn't exactly like bundles with girls, was
I love
it? It was,
that,
there
though.
wasn't a lot of
I
stuff
love the
going on.
rounders.
It was rounded.
I love it.
Yeah, rounders or sunbathing. Like that's basically all I did in there. Like I was
Yeah.
terrible TV.
You went to summer camp.
Now, the next question was from someone called Indiyah. And she said, would you have been interested in the bombshell Sammy?
Me and Sammy, we don't really vibe together.
Fair
She was
enough.
on my season, and we did have like a little thing when she first came in, because she come in as a bombshell when I was with Lana last time, and she was back then like my type to a T. But like that never happened then. We don't really vibe now. So then, yeah, no, probably not.
So you left at the right time then?
I left at the perfect time.
You did.
Perfect timing, perfect timing.
Good for you.
Only 2 weeks to go before the big finale, and the stakes in the villa are sky high. Thankfully, our islanders are staying cool in pre-loved fashion. Last week, heads were butting, romances were brewing, and I was living for the Vegas night looks. Me and the islanders couldn't get enough of Tina and Grace's stunning Zara and H&M with Moschino tops, which were the centre of all the chat during the romance roulette game. Clearly, Diamante is a girl's best friend, especially on a night like this. Later on in the week, we also saw Curtis and Ekin-Su adding some drama to their outfit that we were so here for, in a classic House of CB floral bell sleeve dress and a Stussy old flower tee. We definitely know they slayed in pre-loved. Obsessed with all the villa action? Get the island look on eBay today. eBay, sponsors of Love Island All-Stars.
We now know that Sammy is coupled up with Luca, as shown in last night's episode via the public vote.
Sammy, the public have decided that you should couple up with Luca.
Now, did we see this coming?
Yes.
Yes, 110%.
Like, not even a shadow of doubt.
I mean, Grace is sitting there thinking, oh, there must be something I didn't see, but she doesn't know.
No.
Yeah.
Us as the public, we like the chaos.
We just
you
want
would
drama.
think, you'd think to switch on, but when you're in there, you forget about it. You're like, why would they do this? And you're like,
Yeah. It's
drama.
nothing
Come
personal,
on.
babe. We just want a good bit of viewing.
I mean, Grace did say to Luca, you know, that he couldn't have done anything more, and she gave him a kiss of reassurance. Do we feel like Grace really has anything to worry about with now Luca being coupled up with Sammy?
No. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I just kind of wish that Luca was a little bit more open-minded, because my view on it is he's having the exact same experience that he had with Gemma back in his season, and he's put all his eggs in one basket. And I'm like, you're never going to have this opportunity again in this scenario to get to know someone else. You're not married.
But you're
No.
saying that because you want the drama. He has feelings for someone.
Okay.
Why would you want him to sway?
not sway.
Surely, like, the whole point is we want people to find love. Why break a good thing up for a bit of drama?
They haven't known each other that long. And I think they also know how things work differently on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think that he should just do it for himself. Just have a conversation with her. I think my thing is he's basically completely ignored her because he knows that he's just trying to suppress feelings. Do you know what I mean? So then it's kind of gotten beefier than it should have gotten because of that. So I'm not saying break them
You
up.
need to go on there and experience what it's like in there.
Get me in.
Get him in. Sorry, Kane.
But all I'm trying to say is that, I think that I wish that they could just have a couple conversations.
Yeah.
So he knows in his heart of hearts that he's like, this definitely wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
What it's giving now is it would happen.
Yeah, personally, I do feel like Luca does like Grace, and that's fair enough. But I do feel like because of Grace's reactions, whether that has heightened Luca's feelings for her or not, that has made him feel maybe a little bit like, I'm just not even going to go into the hot waters of getting to know Sammy. I personally feel like the way he kissed her in that challenge was very telling, because it could have been a peck and it wasn't. And I feel like when Sammy did walk into the villa, it was very obvious that Luca did want to get to know her.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he just doesn't want to do it anymore because he just doesn't want to upset Grace.
Yeah.
And a relationship based off of fear is not great foundations to build upon.
Yeah.
It needs to be trust. And I fear that maybe there isn't that much trust there, you know?
I do think he's trying to be respectful, but I do think he does owe it to himself to get to know Sammy if he wants to.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's just shot himself in the foot because of the challenge and the
know.
game.
I just
he
feel
could have went
like-
around it differently.
If he did do that, he would have the whole world down his throat.
Yeah.
And he'd have the whole villa down his throat.
If he's got to know Sammy,
Yeah.
you really think so?
100%, I know so.
We did see, so Sammy was crying and she was saying that she was feeling for Grace and Luca. And we did see that Elmo and Catherine did console her and say, do you know what? No, you need to feel for yourself.
Yeah.
So do we feel like on the flip side that the girls, they kind of want Sammy to have a chance at getting to know Luca? We saw Ekin trying to, get them some alone time and stuff like that. So do we really feel like the girls would be totally against it?
The girls want every single girl to be happy. The problem is that can't happen because there's
Yeah.
not enough to go around. There's not enough Luca to go
That
around.
is very fair.
Right? So the problem is that although they're friends with Grace and they'll want Grace to be happy, like Sammy has come in as a bombshell. You're meant to bombshell.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's now upset, which is horrible to see. The fact that she's now been shut down so quickly by Luca and she hasn't really had a chance. And if I'm honest, I don't think Sammy's going to see any of the other fellas in the same way that she sees Luca, because I know Sammy's fancied Luca for a long time. So for me, it's like there's always going to be a loser here. And at the moment, because we're in that early stage of just seeing them being recoupled, Luca shutting it down, the three of them are unfortunately going to be upset altogether.
For sure.
No one's
Yeah.
happy at the minute. A decision needs to be made quickly to make sure at least two of them are happy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think they've been pressured. I think if Sammy came in and there wasn't that spin the bottle challenge and
Yeah,
there
it
wasn't
would
this
be different.
recoupling, I think they probably would have had a couple of chats in a friendly way. But I think that they've both been pressured into this now. And Luca doesn't seem like he deals well with pressure. I think he's not very good with his words and conveying his emotions. And I think that that's really rocked the boat for him in there as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the loser in this situation, unfortunately, has been Sammy, because I don't think she's had a good enough go at it, but I don't think she can now.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like, even with
Yeah.
them sharing a bed, I think it's just going to be awkward.
If she was in 2 weeks before, 100% fair game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it would have been.
It's just
It would
timing,
have
innit?
probably been a close call. But when you've caught feelings for someone, and I know Luca and Grace have caught feelings for each other,
I
and he's
saw him
really
mashing that
opened himself.
avocado. That man's in love.
He was trying to
that man's in love.
apologise.
Luca doesn't do that for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, not mash
He was-
avocado.
He was like,
I saw him in there make one coffee, and I did his coffee for
oh,
Grace.
really?
So to mash avocado, something's gone.
Yeah,
something's
something's
gone.
bad.
I feel for Sammy, but at the same time, this is just poor timing.
Yeah, it's poor timing, and I guess obviously how that game happened. If the game went differently, I think things could maybe be different for Luca. Grace really put him on that naughty step.
Yes,
She
she
stands
did.
her ground.
Right. How did you feel on that challenge when Luca kissed you?
I weren't surprised because obviously we know that we obviously fancy each other. We're literally each other's type. He's messaged me before. I was surprised he didn't cop out.
Listen, babe. I know Luca. Since you've walked in, he's changed.
Really?
We saw Ekin being Ekin. She made it clear that, she knows Luca. She literally said to Sammy, I know Luca. Since you've walked in, he's changed. And she kind of orchestrated for them to, have a conversation and get everyone out of the way.
I didn't know they were that close. That's giving family friends since he was a baby. I did really rate her putting a producer hat on and saying no one's going near them. But the first time she did it, I thought clever. She did it in a really clever way. She was like, I need some shade. Second and third time was such overkill.
Come over here.
Yeah,
I need this.
I do rate her for trying to give them an opportunity to speak without the hawk that is Grace circling around Luca. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did think it was nice that she was trying to help, but it obviously backfired because I think Grace and Luca took that personally. Like she was trying to intervene, which I did get.
For sure. And Luca clocked on to what she was trying to do.
It wasn't that hard at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
The thing is with Ekin, is like you said, she put a producer hat on. Obviously, they must have her on payroll. But like, I don't know why she's doing it because I'm like, you're friends with Grace for the last couple of weeks. Why are you trying
She's
to
loyal to the mess, Ron.
Yes, she's loyal to the
Her
mess.
only loyalty is the mess.
Facts. Joe, facts.
And I love that for her.
And that's the thing, like, she's just been caught out with it. I was surprised that Luca didn't actually, like, I know they've been friends since the series and stuff, but they don't speak all the time, every now and again. They're not brother and sister, family friend, So, realistically, her saying, oh, I know him is a bit, it's a bit off. But I was surprised that Luca never actually pulled her up on it.
Why were you surprised?
Bearing in mind they're meant to be friends, I'd be questioning, being like, we're friends, why are you trying to ruin what I've got? Or why are you trying to make things like worse for me?
I wouldn't
Or
want to
do you
come
think
close
on the
to
flip
Ekin.
side, Ekin could have just turned around and be like, no, actually, I'm trying to look out for you and do what you should be doing, which is giving yourself a fair chance.
I agree with that. I think it would have opened up a can of worms that he didn't want to deal with.
And he knows Ekin's going to give it to him straight. He knows what Ekin's doing.
Yeah,
so he's
you
like,
don't
I'm
know
just not even going to bother her.
But you don't know whether she's going to give it to him straight. She's married to the mess. She's on payroll.
She's already won. She's with the mess.
Exactly. It's not going to be straight. It's going to be, right, what's the messiest thing we can do here? Let's do that.
I rate him.
Fair enough. Now, moving on, we've got Harriet and Ronnie. We saw them have a little bit of a bust up around the fire pit. Some home truths were said. Harriet didn't really like it. So, Ron, I want to ask you, obviously you've been in there with both of them. What are your thoughts on them as a couple?
Oh, God. Where do I start? With Ronnie and Harriet, I love them when they're good, but I hate it when they're bad. And bad seems a lot of the time.
Okay.
Because Ronnie is so in love with her and he's grown so much as a person. He's doing everything for that girl in there. Everything. Like, he's putting out all the stops. He's simping hard. Honestly, it's lovely to see that he's doing it for a girl, but I think Harriet is kind of taking the mick out of him a little bit.
Okay.
And I know that's like, could be a little bit savage to say, but I think with the way she's been with certain things and the way she reacts to certain things, it's too much. So I love them when they're good and I really want it for Ronnie's sake.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Harriet is as into Ronnie as Ronnie is into Harriet.
Do you ever think maybe the reason for Harriet's actions, though, is probably because of past trauma with Ronnie? Like, she's been in this situation before where he's maybe been, maybe not his most loyal self and has just done things that she didn't approve of. So maybe now going in for a second time, she's just got her back up.
100%.
I would say also that she's backing up my theory of what I said earlier with Luca, where she's gone in and said, regardless of how this is panned out, I'm not having the same Love Island experience. Even though she kind of is, I think she's telling herself that I'm going to be open to things. She's playing the Love Island All-Stars journey well.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Luca is, you're going to argue with that because he's in love and I do understand.
It's not that. It's like the problem is with that is that Harriet, if she wanted to do the All-Stars journey and wanted to get to know people, how coupley she's been with Ronnie from the get-go. The minute she walked in, I'm telling you now, it was like they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah, we did.
You wouldn't be that close to him and lead him on to say that you're that close and then constantly say, I'm open. And we've just seen, they've said, I love you.
They've got the words.
So all of a sudden, we've got our first I love you of the season.
Yep.
And what you're telling me, if he has a conversation with her tomorrow, if someone walks through the door, is she going to be open still after saying I love you?
Well.
We'll have to wait and see.
There was a little game around the fire pit. Ronnie actually admitted to having a threesome, and Harriet actually said, you know what? I feel like it's a little bit of pick-me vibes, kind of saying stuff like that, you know? And she was basically saying, you should let me know, but there's no need for you to let the villa and the rest of the world know. Do we think that is fair?
No.
Why?
It's a game. Everyone's truthful in it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, too truthful because it does out you in certain circumstances. Ronnie said it was like 7-8 years ago, 7 years before they even knew each other.
Like, are we expected to tell our partners everything, or are some things just better left unsaid?
I think that honesty in a game is good. I think that if you're lying in situations like that, even with drinking games at home, I think like you shouldn't be doing that. But I think that it's always not nice for the partner to hear ever.
Never.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It literally happened with me at Christmas time where I was playing a cards game. Kane admitted to something and I turned away from him and ignored him the entire game. Even though it was completely rational, like Ron just said, it was prior to us meeting. I was pouring that Prosecco in a wine glass being like, I don't need to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
She ruined Christmas.
It ruined Christmas. I think that no one likes to be reminded of their partner's past.
No one wants to know.
But do I think it's pick me? No. Because imagine if he lied, right? My context here is if he lied and then he also said, I told you, there was a risk that she would have come away from it and gone, you told me before.
Yeah, that's actually
So I agree with Ronnie being honest.
For sure.
But it's hilarious that she said it was pick me because that's so something that I would have said to Kane. I would have said, that's so pick me, leave me alone.
Ron, we know you've been in there. You know these couples now like the back of your hand. Last night during the game also, we saw that Casey said that Ekin and Curtis bore him the most as a couple. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, because I wasn't really active with couples, I did a lot of observing in
Yes.
there. I know what he's saying, and it's because it's almost like a soap, like their drama.
I said pantomime earlier on.
Pantomime is actually spot on.
Thank you.
That is actually
Thanks,
spot
Ron.
on. Because it's like a panto with them, we do get bored of it because we're so confused. Like, there's so many times where we sit there watching it go on and we're just like, oh, like, what? Can they just...
I promise you, we
let's just
equally felt
stop.
that at home.
Unfortunately, it's there right in front of you, so you do have to tolerate it.
Yeah.
So I think Casey saying, right, last week I think we've had enough.
You're just like, some days we just want to sunbathe.
Let someone else have some chaos for a bit.
Yeah.
You know, look, Luca and Grace have taken over now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Ekin and Curtis probably go, no, I don't like that.
But let's wait till tonight.
Wait till tonight. Now, something else that I actually thought was a little bit of a curveball was Omar. Now, he had a question, which was, kiss somebody he would be with if it wasn't his partner. And he kissed Tina. Do we feel like this has potential, or do we think it was just like, oh,
No,
game?
I think it's because Grace had just told him shut up.
I agree.
And Grace was the closest in proximity to Tina.
Spot on.
And the way Grace was sat there looking forward, she even thought in her head,
It was gonna be
what is
her.
going on, what is going on? I thought it was going to be me.
Yeah.
I just think he played it safe in the game.
100%.
It's my opinion, yeah.
100%.
However, it would have been great. I think had the shut up have not happened
Yeah.
and they kissed, would have thrown a spanner in the works for all of the Luca stuff.
It would have.
Omar saved actually a huge Ralph Marup
Yeah.
thing. So good for you.
He's done himself a favour.
He has.
Really.
He
So
has.
fair play to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I would have done, to be fair. Stay out of it.
Well, guys, it's been a busy, chatty morning.
It has.
It's been
It
some
has.
great gossip we've been having.
It has.
Ron, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thank
been
you for having
absolutely
me.
fantastic.
Thank you,
Joe,
Ron.
we're nearly at the end of the road, but
We
we're not there yet. So
We are.
fantastic.
I got some more time. Don't chuck me
You
out
got
just
some more
yet.
time. You got some more
Please,
time.
I like it in here. It's really nice.
We love it. And you guys, don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube, your favourite podcast provider app, and ITVX. So we'll be with you tomorrow morning. Bye.